Well, good day. This is Brother West, Prophet West, coming to you. What day is this? This is Tuesday, year of our Lord. And I just want to encourage you, but also I just want to say that I want to talk about getting closer to God. I want to talk about what it takes to get closer to God, and I want to talk about what it takes to hear God closer, to get more favor with God, to get more power with God, to get more love, get more revelation knowledge, get more of the things that God has for us, the promises that God has for us. I want to talk about what causes us as a believer to receive that. And basically the realistic thing about it, I know many of you are going through many things. You're sacrificing, you're giving many things, you're giving many things that hurt and it's painful, but you know you're doing it for Christ, and you know what the Bible says after you suffered a while, and so you're trying to remain faithful to the promises that God has for you. And I just want to let you know that, and some of you might think that they're not going to happen. You think there's a figment of your imagination. You wonder when it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's just of you being patient and don't get weary, but outlasting, and in due season, the Bible says you're going to reap your reward, your promise. But in order to receive your harvest, in order to receive your blessing, one of the things that you must go through, that everyone must go through in order to receive it, you got to go through pain. You got to go through rejection. You gotta go through things that are uncomfortable. Even Solomon said in the book of Ecclesiastes, in order to get wisdom, he got to go through much sorrow. In order to get knowledge, he got to go through much grief. But in order to go to the next level of God, the thing that God accepts, it's in Psalms 51, I think it's 51 and 17, I believe it is. The Bible says that God will always accept, and that is a broken spirit and a contrite heart. God will not despise. When you're willing to give up the very thing that you love, you give up the very thing that you embrace, to give up the very thing that you want, you give it up for the sake of God, then this is when your elevation will happen. This is when your transition will take place, when it's so uncomfortable, when it feels like you've been left behind, when it feels like, when will I get this? When will I become happy? When will I have this? When you're willing to give up those things, temporal things, you're willing to give them to God, God will elevate you. Even though you might be at this natural place where you feel like you're low, God is elevating you spiritually. And what's going to happen eventually, what happens spiritually will eventually manifest itself naturally. So, and so I will say this right here: don't look at what you see naturally. So, see, because what God is doing a new thing in you. And see, the thing about it, the work that God has begun in you, He's going to perform that work. He's going to finish it, because He's not slack concerning His promises, but the thresholds and the passageway into getting to revelation knowledge, the passageway into getting to power, wisdom, greater walk, greater experience. The Bible even tells us that tribulation worth experience, hope, and patience. Those are the things that what we go through, it develops in us. And once it's developed in us, then we're prepared. And see, the thing about it, what we must realize and understand, any gift that we get that's premature, that's given premature, could eventually be a curse. A lot of times, many things God keep away from us because we're not ready to have it or ready to handle it. God has to prepare us to be ready to handle it in order before we're able to get it, because if not, we'll lose it. Case in point, what if someone buys you a car, a stick shift, and you don't know how to drive it? You might have a nice car, but you don't know how to drive it, so it's basically useless. And so what God is doing, He's preparing us. He's preparing us for those things that we think that we need. See, because He knows better than us, that we know us more than we know ourselves. And so a lot of time when He put brakes and stoplights in our spirit and tells us to stop, then what He's doing, He's protecting us from ourselves, because He sees and He understands down the road. And so don't push the cart before the horse, and don't kick against the prick. But when God put red lights, and when God says no, it means no. And so sacrifice, even though the no is painful and you feel like it's unfair, it's not, because God has a plan and God is preparing you. See, no today could be yes tomorrow. And so no today is just because you're not prepared. No today means you're just not ready. But the moment that you become ready and prepared, then it will be yes. God bless you.